Hello there, and welcome to the auctions. I'm your host, the T22 Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the last cluster of vehicles available in Blitz in the auctions. Some of these tanks are decent deals, and some of them aren't. In today's video, I'll be letting you know exactly my opinions on all of these tanks, and which I would recommend to buy, and which you should stay very, very far away from. So let's get straight into it. Now, if you're wondering why I'm recording this video to the auction so late in the sales, is down to the fact I wanted to get a good idea of what the most sold tanks are and what the least sold are. We can see that the Keeler is the most sold, which is actually a bit surprising, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's a good tank, it's got a decent gun, and the price tag isn't bad, but I'm just surprised to see that the Keeler is the most sold vehicle. What I also simply refuse to understand when it comes to the auctions is why people buy tanks at the most expensive price tags. Do they not understand that the prices are dropping? Like, for example, the T24 Mod 1 is currently 4,200 gold, and about 320 of them have sold. Why did 320 people buy the tank in a more expensive state when we know that the vehicle guaranteed is going to be getting cheaper? I actually do not understand that thought process there. And that's the same thought process for a lot of these vehicles. Even the Keeler, the tank's probably going to drop to another 500 gold less than 7 hours before it sells out. So why are people buying it now? I always find that rather confusing, at least to myself. So my suggestion, if you have a brain cell, is wait for the tanks to get a bit cheaper. But with that aside, let's talk about the vehicles for sale. Let's start off with the most sold to the least sold. So we have the Keeler. There is 1,400 left, which means just about half of them have been sold. Again, I'm a little confused on why this is the most sold tank out of the lot of vehicles in front of us. It's not a bad tank. It's got a good gun, which does deal 350 damage per shot. It's got okay mobility, decent armor, good gun depression, and it's a pretty fun tank overall. I would definitely say that 5,500 gold is a good deal for the vehicle. But when you compare it to something like the G-SOAR, I'm just surprised that so many of them have sold. But I guess it is quite cheaper, about half the price tag of the G-SOAR. So it's not actually that bad. I would definitely say if the Keeler gets down to 5,000 gold, if you have the gold to pick it up, it's not a bad deal at all. I mean, the tank's fun, good armor, it looks nice because it does have PBR. It's actually a pretty solid vehicle. So for 5,000 gold, I'd say that's an absolute steal for the Keeler. The next most sold tank is incredibly surprising. We have the TS5. About 900 of these have sold. You want my honest opinion? Do not buy the TS5. Sure, it features a nice gun with 3,000 damage per minute. It's got okay armor, and its mobility isn't the worst thing ever when you compare it to something like the T28. But at the same time, the TS5 is not what I would consider to be an exceptional vehicle. Its accuracy on move is incredibly dookie, its aiming time and base dispersion are also very mediocre. While the vehicle does feature incredibly good penetration and DPM, it is completely made up for with the terrible track wheels and the fact that its sides and rear are just horrendous. The vehicle is, gee guys, let's buy a premium version of the T28. It's really nothing special, nor something that you should want to buy. I mean, sure, for 5,500 gold, it's a pretty cheap price tag, but yeah, I just get the Keeler over it any day of the week. It's just not that exciting. I'd say at this point the Turtle's better. Heck, even the Tech Tree AT15 is a better deal than the TS5. I don't mean to hate on the tank, but it's definitely nothing good, especially judging the fact that it doesn't have PBR graphics. It kind of just looks like a turd, I'm gonna be real. So at the end of the day, just don't waste your money on the TS5. Now, something I'm surprised to see hasn't sold out already is the T22 Medium. Maybe this is a sign that wargaming is not nearly as popular and doing as well as they probably thought they were, but only about 900 T22 Mediums have sold. Now, to be fair, that's still a lot of gold wargaming has been able to sell and make money for themselves, but at the same time, yeah, it's really not a lot of T22s. The vehicle is currently 16,000 gold. If you have double gold bundles or pop-up offers like I do, you can get 16,000 gold for about $20. That's actually a very, very cheap deal for gold. And yeah, I'd say 20 bucks for T22 Medium really is incredibly cheap and not a bad deal at all, especially judging that the vehicle is getting even cheaper. In just a couple hours, it's going to be going down to 14,500, and after that, it's going to be going down to 13,000 gold. I would say that for 14,500 gold, it's a pretty good deal to get your hands on the T22 Medium. Next update, the vehicle's losing, sure, a bit of DPM, but to make up for that, the tank's also gaining a pretty decent chunk of armor, and the T22 is all about armor, so I'm very excited to play the tank next update. I think it's going to be really fun. And yeah, I would definitely recommend to keep your eyes set on the T22 Medium, especially with the dropping price tag. Next up, we have the Chieftain T95, which I can tell you, no, it's just not worth it. Sure, it's a cool vehicle. It's a Chieftain Tier 10 hull on a Tier 8 heavy, and the turret is incredibly well armored. Except for one overlapping problem, and that's the hongler bongler on the roof, the hatch. The Chieftain T95's hatch is incredibly weak. Literally anything that aims at your tank is going to pen you. And it's honestly really saddening, because if it didn't have that hatch, it would probably be one of the best Tier 8s available. But because it has that hatch, it's kind of mid. It's definitely not bad. Its gun's got great DPM, very good penetration, and the vehicle's also very flexible due to its gun depression and mobility. But the fact that any decent player that knows how to aim, especially with the auto aim on mobile, is just gonna crap on that vehicle. So I really just wouldn't recommend to buy the Chieftain T95. It's definitely not worth the gold when a Keeler is basically the same price tag. Next up, we have the G-SOAR 1008. Now this is a tricky one to say, because the G-SOAR is one of my favorite Tier 8 in the game. I'm averaging close to 3,000 damage in the vehicle and over 80% win rate. Its gun is incredibly overpowered, especially because of the fact it fires HESH that can deal 440 damage, 2 shells, 880 in total, in just 2.5 seconds, with very good accuracy and even decent mobility and 10 degrees of gun depression. The G-SOAR is literally a do-it-all tank destroyer. Its really only downside is armor, but that doesn't matter all too much. It's kind of like a 4005 that gets HESH at Tier 8, which is just devastating. The problem with the G-SOAR is that it's being sold for a very expensive price tag of 12,000 gold, but it is getting cheaper. If it goes down to 10,000 gold, which should be its minimum price, that's actually not too bad of a deal. I would definitely say to consider picking it up. Personally, I think the G-SOAR is insane, and at this price tag, I would personally pick it up if I didn't have it, especially again if you have double gold bundles. I just think that this is a tank that is incredible, and if you want fun, it's a really good vehicle. It's got the gun, it's got the alpha, it's got everything you'd want going for it. So, in my opinion, I definitely say keep an eye out for the G-SOAR, especially if you like your auto-loading tank destroyers. Now we have the Type 59, which, yeah, I mean, it's really cheap to be fair. It's 4,100 gold currently, and it's going to go down to 3,700 the next price drop. So that means it's going down 400 every day, so cheapest it'll get to seems to be like, what, 3,200, 3,300. That's not incredibly expensive at all, and I'd actually say it's a pretty decent deal. Type 59 is definitely nothing incredible. It features good turret armor, a decent gun with 280 damage per shot, good accuracy, decent penetration, and pretty good gun depression at 7 degrees with good hull armor. It's a very well-rounded medium. The only real downside is its pretty mediocre DPM. But the tank has been in the game for many years, and the fact it still holds up and looks incredibly nice is actually a testament to how well it was balanced originally. The Type 59 is definitely a tank I would consider taking a look at for how dang cheap it is. It's going to be 3,700 gold. I mean, that's chump change. Anybody can fork that up. You can heck get it for free if you just watch enough gold boosting ads. So the Type 59 is actually a really good tank. However, I would say for just 100 more gold, get the T54 Mod 1. Sure, Type 59 has more gun depression, and it's probably a bit better for hull down capabilities, but the Mod 1 has a better upper plate, a better lower plate, a better turret, at least in my eyes, and a gun that actually has better DPM. Plus, the vehicle is literally only 100 gold more. I'm very surprised to see the Mod 1 being one of the least sold vehicles in this list. It's an incredibly enjoyable, mobile, and fun medium. It's a great tank, and for 4,200 gold, I definitely suggest to keep your eyes on it. It's going to be 3,800 gold at the next sale, which is very, very cheap. So, yeah, I'd definitely say keep your eyes out for the T54 Mod 1. It's a very cheap vehicle. In fact, I'd say if you like mediums, pick up the Type 59 and Mod 1. They're both very cheap and both very fun vehicles. So overall, if I were to rank these tanks in order from most you should get to least you should get in the current gold price tags they have, let's start off with putting the Keeler in probably the #1 position. it's a pretty good tank, and for the price tag Wargaming's asking, yeah, it's definitely the best tank here. In the number 2 position, I would put the T22 Medium, especially because it's dropping quite a bit of gold every day. I'd definitely keep your eyes on that tank. It's a very fun vehicle and worth the price if it gets low enough. Then I would do the G-Sor, just because of the fact it's so dang fun, the gun is incredible, and everything else going for it. Then I would probably do the T54 Mod 1, then the Type 59, probably the Chieftain T95, and finishing off with the TS5. At the end of the day, it really depends on your playstyle, so hopefully I cleared up some of the questions you have, and let me know if you have any more in the comments. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.